Hey everybody, it's your girl Bondy Blue, and I want you to check out Bondy's Boutique and get some of my merch, y'all. I've added some new things like my mermaid cups and the mermaid tees, and also the Shake Them Tits mugs. All right, you asked for it and you got it. Check out Bondy's merch at Bondy's Boutique. Hey everybody, what's up? It's your girl Bondy Blue, and I am back for another Iyanla Fix My Life, y'all. This is unfinished business with the Mitchell family, Mitchell brothers. Part 2, and there's going to be a part 3 next week as well, which I'm glad, because I felt like part 1 and 2 wasn't enough. So part 2 started off with Iyanla sitting down with Kizzy and making her understand that as mad as she is with her mom for the decisions that she's made, they have mirrored situations. And the fact that Kizzy feels that LaRonda doesn't like her is obviously a pattern that she isn't aware of, because LaRonda has not told her children her story. And we see that a lot on Fix My Life, where kids are so upset with their parents and then they start to make the same mistakes as their parents, and there's still this anger. And it's like, well, if you can understand your own decisions, your own mistakes, why can't you show that same empathy or that same understanding to a family member or a parent? And in this situation, Kizzy is more like her mom than we knew. Kizzy has 2 children that she does not have custody of, that live with their grandparents, and I'm guessing whoever the guy is, the baby daddy, that's the grandparents, because we know they probably don't live with Michael Sr. and LaRonda, okay? But it was just a shock, because they're all so upset. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're all so upset with their mom for not being there, and just, to keep having them over and over again, and then putting them all in situations where they were abused and starved and all of this type of shit. Were they starved, or was that the other family that was starved? Y'all know it's been this family and that other family that was real fucked up, that had like a lot of messed up things. They was having sex with one another. That wasn't the situation with the Mitchells, I'm sure. But I do believe that Marcus and all of them were very physically abused by whoever their foster parents were, in and out of foster care homes. And then we find out even more about what took place with some of the kids while they were in foster care. But right now, it's just the fact that Kizzy, like, really? You don't even have your own children? You can't take care of your own children? Apparently she was unstable, so they're living with the grandparents. And of course, we all feel like if the grandparents can give them a solid foundation to live off of, and not have all of the the different patterns and fucked up isms that the Mitchells seem to have, fine, by all means, go by the other grandparents. But it just makes me look at Kizzy like, what the fuck are you expecting from your mom when you don't even have a drug problem and you don't have your kids? And you got a nice human hair lace front wig on, okay, and you got your clothes on, and I can't count your money because I don't know how much you didn't pay for nothing, but it just seems as if it's something I've seen before, where the grandparents take the kids, and even when you do get on your feet and could possibly take care of your own fucking children, you choose not to, because it's just easier to leave them where they at. And Iyanla wants Kizzy to understand that eventually she's gonna be sitting in the same seat as LaRonda, answering to her children. It makes you look at her like, now how long are you gonna blame your mama when you done turned into your mama? You know what I'm saying? Like, how long are we gonna go through this with you? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the feeling that I start to feel with Kizzy. And then Iyanla sits down with LaRonda, and we gain a little bit more insight into what LaRonda's upbringing was like. LaRonda said her mama didn't like her either, and she felt that way because her mom was so in love with LaRonda's father. But LaRonda's father didn't want to marry LaRonda's mother. So she's raising LaRonda, who looks just like her father, and tying her to chairs with stockings and beating her with an extension cord. That sounds similar to the life that her children have come up in with the abuse. And that is so crazy to me, and that makes me so mad at women who do that. Like, I don't care if that nigga didn't want you. I don't care if that child looks like that nigga that didn't want you. But you don't keep a child. You don't take care of her every day and then abuse her because of the decisions that have been made in your life. Like, I just think that's so fucked up.
That's so fucked up to me. Because you got to think about how torturous that is for your own mama to tie you down to a chair and beat you with an extension cord. Like, it's different when we was getting beat with extension cords and our parents was just holding us by one arm and we was able to flail and run and shit. But when you tying them down, it turns into some type of torture to me. It turns into torture. And torture and abuse are the same. But when it's called that, it's so different. Because it's like you're actually trying to hurt your child. It's not even about, you know, reprimanding them. It's about making them feel as low as you feel every time you look at them and realize that LaRonda daddy didn't want you. And that makes me upset. But that also makes me understand the type of pain that LaRonda must have went through. And during this time period, it only makes sense that she would have gotten on crack. Like, her age bracket, the time frame that she's coming of age and being a young woman and having all of these children and going through all of this trauma as a child and not really having anybody to help her be different, anybody to help her do better. No, she just got a mom that abused her, a daddy that didn't want her, and here we are. What do you expect from people who are put in impoverished situations? And you know what I'm saying? Like, everybody thinks that it's so easy. Y'all really like discount all of the people that come up out of these situations and, you know, make something of themselves. That shit is a triumph. Because when you look at people like LaRonda, who, when you really look back at their lives, you wonder, like, okay, like, how could they have not got on crack? In the era of crack, coming up off being abused and tortured by a parent. And I don't understand, like, what other choices was she supposed to have when you really think about it? And think about how being disenfranchised and black and poor, you know what I mean, how all of that plays a part in a role, and how people end up fucking up their kids because they don't have anything else. And that's just so sad to me, y'all. But the fact that her kids don't even know her story, don't even understand her story, they're just looking at it from a standpoint of, this is what you did to me. Not thinking about, well, the reason why you did this to me is because somebody did this to you, and then somebody did this to the person who did something to you. You have to step away from it and realize that it's not something that you did, like Iyanla said, but it's the pattern that you're a part of, and you have to break it once you realize that you're a part of a pattern. You have to break it, because if you don't, then you're worse than all of the people that came before you that didn't even have the vantage point to realize what was actually happening. Iyanla tells LaRonda that she's going to have to recognize that everything that her mom felt for her, that same energy is in Kizzy. All of the bad things that LaRonda's mom felt about her, I believe she was the one who raised Kizzy, so she put all of that negative emotion towards LaRonda into Kizzy. So you got Kizzy's own abandonment issues and anger with her mom, on top of the fact that her grandmother probably instilled some of that in her. Your mom ain't shit, you know, all of that. Y'all know how people be. So everyone meets at the table, and Iyanla puts a cape on Marcus, because we want the visualization of how crazy it is for you to feel like it's your responsibility to be out here saving all these grown-ass people when you can barely save yourself, okay? So wear a red cape so you can know that that shit is silly, son. Fix yourself first. You are not responsible, especially as a child. You were not responsible to save your siblings from what happened to them. It was not your responsibility. And the fact that Marcus feels that way, even though there are two people that came before him, lets you know, I mean, fuck the two kids that came before him, but the parents, you know, it makes you really realize how bad he must feel about everybody's experiences and not just his own. And then when you realize the anger, you know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of times black men don't know how to show depression and sadness. No, they show depression, anxiety, and anger. That's how they understand the emotion that they feel as anger, because they don't know how to deal with how much it hurts them emotionally. They don't know how to go through it. They're not taught how. Even in society, men, for the most part, especially black men, aren't taught how to deal with their emotions. And when you look at Marcus as being a person that's trying to save everybody, but he can't even help himself, his children need him, and he can't even be there for them, it's just ridiculous and silly. So Iyanla tells everybody that they need to be done with their past, including Miss LaRonda. Your past is your past, and you need to be done with it. But a lot of them aren't. Miss LaRonda especially isn't done with her past. But they need to set the intention that I need to get past those things. And that's another thing. When people say set intention, I want y'all to hear that. Hear set intention. Because what that means is you have to put that thought in your mind and put that energy out into the universe in order for it to come to fruition. You can't expect change. You can't expect betterment of yourself if you don't know what to ask for, if you don't know what to set your intention on. And Iyanla giving them the intention to let go of the past is freeing them up to be open to what's about to happen in the process, and finding out what it was that happened in their parents' life that led to them being abandoned, abused, and, you know, basically fucked over, for lack of a better term right now. Marvin felt something in his spirit when Iyanla said that about, you know, letting go of the past. And he had written something down the previous night about having to let go of the notion that everything is your parents' fault, being the victim. You have to let that go and finally be strong enough to realize that this is your fault too, and you need to take responsibility and learn something from the situation. But when he says that, Melvin is like, nigga. Like nigga with the bullshit. And y'all, let me tell you something, Melvin, if you watching me, Melvin, we have a kindred spirit in that. Because I can't stand when people sit up there with the bullshit in front of me. Like, don't sit up here and act self-righteous in front of me knowing good and goddamn well that you done treated people like shit. Don't act like you grown. You haven't grown. Okay, like that's where Melvin is coming from. But what Iyanla wanted Melvin to understand, and what I have to understand as a person, is every time somebody is lying about something or not being upfront or whatever they saying, doesn't necessarily have anything to do with me or Melvin. Me and Melvin need to understand that. Okay? Sometimes it's the other person's problem. Sometimes it's the other person's issue. Sometimes it's their issues reflecting, deflecting onto you. Whatever the situation may be. That's something I've definitely learned about YouTube. People love deflecting their issues on me. I say something about a certain situation, if it fits them in any shape, way, or form, and they feel offended, they coming for my fucking neck. And I have to remember, I don't know you, you don't know me. I am just a vessel for you to put your frustration because it makes you feel better in the moment. It's not even just in YouTube life, but in real life, realizing that the people who I have issues with, that are friends or family, sometimes their issues ain't even about me, it's about them. And Melvin needs to understand that and learn how to let people have space to understand their emotions and put their emotions out there without somebody saying that the shit not real. It is real. It's real to them, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they know how to apply that realness to their everyday life. Marvin understanding that he needs to let go of the past and be real about who he is and all of that, and learn from his mistakes and not blame his parents. All of them needing to learn that is not shade to the other person. It's just what it is. But Melvin takes it a certain way. So Melvin has a journey here of learning how to be at peace with the situation and not taking it personally, and realizing that sometimes it's just not about you. So then they do this little project where they basically pin the problem on the donkey, and they assign, you know, certain things to each person. So Marvin creates the most mess, and I've noticed that. As quiet and meek as Marvin may be on the show, it's because Marvin is trying to keep things under wraps. If he's not showing emotion, if he's not saying anything, if he's not, you know, doing the most, then nobody can see him. You know, I think he thinks that he's quiet, then everybody will just focus on everybody else and they won't focus on him, and they won't see the tail hanging out the back of his pants, okay? And that just means that he don't want everybody to see that he's gay. He's still not comfortable with that, even though everybody that was watching the show can instantly see that the two youngest brothers was gay. And it was probably because they had on makeup. Okay, everybody puts on a little something when they do TV shows, but them boys was beat to the gods, okay? Both very beautiful men, okay? I can say beautiful, and I say beautiful all the time. Even if you are masculine or feminine man, I will always, you know, identify something as beautiful if I see it that way. And Marvin and Melvin are extremely beautiful. Beautiful skin. You know what I'm saying? Just very moisturized skin. But they have some issues, y'all. Them two got some issues. And like they said, Marvin creates the mess. That shit that happened between Kizzy and the mama and all of that. Marvin, you're gonna have to get it together, okay? Marcus is the meanest. And it's not that he's the meanest, but he's the most emotionally volatile. They never know what they're gonna get from him, and they never know what will set him off. So it's like walking on eggshells around a motherfucker. And I understand how nerve-wracking that can be. Michael is the most loving. And it's so funny to me that they assigned that to him, even though nobody is showing him that same love in return, except for maybe Marcus and Mikhail, because I think they feel more responsible for him than everybody else, like Melvin or Marvin do. But there's still some separation from Michael and the rest of the brothers. But we come to find out that it's not necessarily anybody else's fault but Michael's. And when it comes to who is hurt and disappointed them the most, everybody agrees that it's the mama. But when Iyanla pulls up her donkey card, every pin is on the mama because she planted the seeds. And the seeds that she gave to them were planted in her. Just trying to make them understand how things are passed down from person to person, and your parent just didn't wake up one day and decide, hey, I'm gonna be a fuckless parent. No, this is something that was bred into them the entire time. But you know, of course, I'm guessing back in the Gap, it must have been hard to get birth control, or a bitch really just didn't care. Either way, you out here just having what, how many kids? There are 2 brothers, one that's dead and then one that's in jail, and the 5 that's there plus Kizzy. So is that 10, y'all? What is that? Yeah, is that 10? Because it's the 5 brothers. Okay, we're going to go in order. Kizzy, Michael, Marcus, Mikhail, Marvin, and Melvin. The brother in jail, and then the brother that's dead. So that's 8 kids, y'all. I can't count. It's 8 kids. I'm sorry. Iyanla has LaRonda sit with Michael because we need an understanding of why Michael has gone back to making these videos that make him look a damn fool. And for Michael, it's a release. It makes him feel happy. It gives him the attention that he hasn't been getting. And it's also people laughing at him, not laughing with him. So even though it's attention that he doesn't need, it's bad attention, like some of the comments were terrible, he's still doing it. Because in some way, any attention is better than no attention at all. And that is very sad, and that is worrisome for Iyanla. Iyanla says the fact that he continues to do this, the fact that he was living on the street, okay, it worries her because she thinks that he's gonna kill himself eventually. She hasn't said it, she didn't vocalize it in that way, but that's the fear, that he will eventually kill himself because he's so lonely. But we come to an understanding about Michael. First of all, when Michael was coming up, he was on medication. He was on Prozac for his emotional mood swings. And they would a lot of the time come off as anger, but because he didn't know how to communicate, because he didn't know how to deal with his emotions, and people just decided to put him on drugs, he never learned how to deal with it. He just was drugged, and now he's decided to not be on the medication. I'm guessing growing up decided to just not be on medication at all, and now he needs to be on it. He needs to be, because his mood swings, and you know, Iyanla brings up his medical record. It's something that needs to be controlled by medicine. Not something that can necessarily be fixed with a conversation. Because of his challenges, the understanding is not the same in order to fix the problem without medication. So he needs medication in order to deal with the ups and downs of his emotions. And I understand that type of person that could have one small thing happen and make them relive a pain from their past, or a pain that stays with them all the time. It just comes up, and then their emotions are erratic. So after we have this conversation with Michael, we understand that Michael has been offered a place to stay. So him being homeless was his decision, because he wants to do what he wants to do, which is an inconvenience to his brothers and his mom. LaRonda said that she wants Michael to reach out to her and depend on her if he needs her. She would rather him do that than be out on the street sleeping on the park bench. And the brothers said the same thing when Iyanla talked to them separately, because they were like standing in the doorway of the room watching the conversation but not really involved in it. And after Iyanla talked to them, and they all said that they can see that Michael needs help and attention and love. And Melvin was like, I feel like shit. And I'm like, I'm glad you feel like shit, Melvin. I'm glad you feel like shit. Because after last episode, with you saying that you didn't have time or patience and didn't give a fuck about what he was talking about, I need for you to see how fucked up that was coming from his vantage point of already feeling like y'all don't give a fuck about him because he is, you know, not like the rest of y'all in one way or another because of his challenges. So when Melvin said he felt like shit, I was like, thank you, Melvin. Thank you. I needed you to say that. Iyanla asked the brothers if they are embarrassed of him. And they say no. They say they're not embarrassed of him, but it's obvious that he needs help. And Iyanla says they need to come up with a plan for each of them to help hold Michael accountable and make sure that he's taking the medication he needs to take so that he doesn't eventually take his own life. So Melvin and Marvin finally sit down so we can understand the breakdown between the two of them. Marvin told Melvin to tell people that they were just best friends and not brothers. He didn't want to be linked to him in that way. Don't want to take a picture with him. You know, don't want to be bothered with him, all because Melvin is identifiably gay and Melvin is proud of who he is. And Marvin is somebody who has a hard time with his sexuality. I think he still has a hard time with it. He is gay, but I don't think he's okay with the reason why he thinks he's gay. I'm not sure whether Marvin was gay before all of this happened and it's just something that people notice, because I feel like there are people that will see that in a child, in a boy or child, and take advantage of that. But Marvin was molested at 13. And then every boy that came into the group home molested him after that. Y'all, that makes my skin crawl thinking about that. Especially when they showed that picture of him as a baby. All of them as kids, you just want to hug them. You just want to take care of them. Michael Jr.'s picture, like, you just want to hug them and fix this for them. That's all you want to do when you see them as children and then hear what they've gone through. But see, by Marvin being molested so much, he attributes and links his gayness and him being molested together. So it's something that he's ashamed of, and he sees it in his brother, and it makes him not want to be like his brother. But Melvin doesn't understand, because Melvin loves Marvin, and Melvin thinks that all the support and love he gives to Marvin, it should be given back to him in that same way. But what he doesn't realize is Marvin doesn't have that to give himself, so he damn sure don't have it to give to Melvin. And Marvin cries, you know, in his very stoic way, and apologizes for treating his brother in that way, for telling him not to tell the world that they were brothers, for judging him for being gay. But Melvin still has a hard time. Marvin is trying to, you know, say it, but because he's not doing it the way Melvin sees fit, it's just not going to come out in a way that Melvin is going to understand. Melvin just gets upset and shuts down and doesn't have anything to apologize for. And, you know, then he wants to leave. And he doesn't want to disrespect Iyanla, but he's pissed off and he's crying because for him, what he heard by Iyanla asking Melvin to understand that Marvin is dealing with what happened to him in a mirrored way with what he sees Melvin as. He doesn't want to understand that. He doesn't get that. So he sees Iyanla saying, you need to, you know, see your brother's side. Not necessarily understand it, but see it from his point of view for a second in order to get past all of this anger you have towards him. He sees that as Iyanla making excuses for Marvin. And I was like, Melvin, I understand how you feel, but you wrong. You wrong. First of all, you wrong for flipping the fuck out and not being able to have a conversation like a grown-ass man. But that's the child in you that comes out in the moments where you want to walk off and Iyanla has to tell you about yourself, that you're wrong. And if you want to do this a different way, you need to do it a different way now, not later. You know, you need to do it now in the moment when you're upset and you want to leave and all of this shit. But basically, from what I understand, Melvin feels as if everybody wants him to let go of his anger. Very similar to the Tracy Tamar situation, where one sibling feels more wronged. So the idea that they have to come to the other person with some type of, you know, peace treaty or some shit, or some type of understanding, is letting go of the anger. And that's so hard to do. I understand that, y'all. I have that within myself. Where if I feel like if I'm letting go of anger, that's why I don't like to be mad. Because if I'm letting go of it, I feel like I'm losing out on something, or I'm giving something up. I say that all the time because it's so true. It's such a real statement of what anger is for me. And when I look at them, I can see it the same way for Melvin. I see a lot of myself in Melvin as being the youngest child, and also being somebody that's, you know, free in who they are, and people not liking to see that because it reminds them of how they don't feel free within themselves. And that's the situation with Marvin and Melvin. Melvin needs to just have a little bit more understanding of Marvin, because the fact that Marvin was molested so much, things have been taken from Marvin that Melvin will never understand. And the fact that he refuses to see that, like he said, I'm not about to sit here and feel sorry for him. Why not? He your brother. He your brother. And he was a child. And people raped him repeatedly. Why can't you feel sorry for him? Y'all, I'm about to cry right now thinking about that, because Marvin is already like this, like, you know, kind of small guy. So to imagine him as a 13-year-old boy being taken advantage of that much, Melvin needs to see that you have to show some compassion in this area to your brother. You just have to. I don't care. You have to. I know Yana said he don't have to understand it, but I feel like you need to show some type of compassion. The reason why your brother is the way he is because of everything that has happened to him. Everybody feels like nobody protected them. Nobody protected Marvin from people raping him repeatedly. Y'all, that shit broke my heart. But you know, next episode I see that Yana made Melvin admit that he feels guilty that he wasn't molested and Marvin was. And I think it comes off as anger, because it's like, why did this happen to you and not me? And I can't even really be mad at you because I know this is so fucked up. You know, like, it's this real confusing feeling of knowing that you have to feel sympathy for your brother because it's fucked up. But at the same time, you feeling the pain that he put you through. So it's hard to soften for him because you feel like he don't soften for you. And it's obvious that they're close. Like when Melvin say, I am there for you, I'm always, you know, by your side or whatever, it let us know that their relationship behind closed doors is different from their relationship in front of other people. And Melvin resents Marvin for that. And I could totally understand that. I could totally understand where Melvin is coming from. But he gonna have to get to a place where he can man the fuck up and realize that just like there's a broken, angry child in him, there is a raped, abused, molested, angry child in Marvin. So yeah, y'all, that was how far we got with it this episode. That shit really touched me. It was really a good episode, and I'm so glad that Iyanla is doing another part, because I really feel like all the things that they have been going through really could not have been done in just 1 or 2 parts. Especially when you think about, you know, Kizzy not having the kids, Mama not ever telling her story, Marcus wanting to kill himself because he feels guilty about everything that everybody went through, Michael and him needing medication for his imbalances and his emotions, and probably a chemical imbalance of some kind from whatever medication or drugs he done or his mama did while she was pregnant with him, whatever. You know, everybody, Melvin and his anger issues, Marvin and dealing with the fact that he puts his molestation and his gayness in a box together. Marvin is disgusted with himself in one way or another because of everything that happened to him. And I don't think people understand that. You know what I'm saying? So it's just, it's so sad, y'all. Everybody has their own issues. Mikhail not having his kids and feeling some type of way about that. I just feel like 1 or 2 parts wouldn't have done it justice. So I'm excited about what next episode is going to bring. And I really hope that everybody gains some type of step up from where they were. Because I feel like everybody is a step up from where they were last time we saw them. So hopefully that transcends with this portion as well. But anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed the review. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel if you have not already. I am going to be tired as hell tonight because it is Real Housewives of Potomac, Southern Charm, 90 Day Fiance, and Claws. And Big Little Lies is coming on. I'm not reviewing it, but I'm watching it. So yeah, y'all, it'll be like 4 reviews tonight. I hope y'all enjoy. I hope I'll see you there, and share the video, y'all. Much love to everybody watching. Much love to everybody who has, you know, family dynamics that are similar, family situations that they, you know, need to work on. I just wish all y'all love and peace and happiness. And I'm about to say soul, but that's not what this here for. Alright, just peace, y'all. Peace and blessings. I want a rim shot.